And that's when I look across the table at mom, and all of a sudden I see she's got like an ace right up. Oh, hey, how are you? Welcome back. I didn't realize we were starting right now. Hey, it's another SB Live, hashtag SB Live. If you're over on Twitter, say hello to our friend Shannon, who is live tweeting this event as always. I'm super excited that you're all here with us, and I'm trying to actually get there it goes. I'm trying to get my stuff to work. It's funny. I'm only on this platform every day, and every time I feel like it's my first time. But we've got a cool show for you today because Pam Andrews from the Scholarship Shark is here, and this woman knows how to find lots and lots and lots of money for college. And as you know, I put two kids through college, and that's where all my hair went. I mean, that's actually what I tell people anyway. I think that's how science works, right? You put kids through college and your hair goes away. We'll ask Pam later. It's a theory, might not be a good one. But before we say hello to Pam, we're going to wait for people to come in. A few things for you. Once again, over on Twitter, our friend Shannon, our social media guru, is over there live tweeting this event as always. And every time we say this, use hashtag SB Live with the S Benjamin's Cast, to S Benjamin's Cast, and maybe you might get some Stacking Benjamin swag. I'm actually wearing Stacking Benjamin swag today. I'm wearing the Haven Life Greatest Money Show on Earth t-shirt. So the circus that is Stacking Benjamin's shirt, one of my favorite Brad Lark creations, and you might be able to get one too. And it seems like a lot of weeks nobody does that. We're going to ask Pam a lot about scholarships here in just a second, but before we get to that, a few things. Number one is we got some cool stuff coming up on the Stacking Benjamin show. Tomorrow, our friend Whitney Hansen from the award-winning Money Nerds podcast joins our roundtable group. And I'll tell you what's cool about Whitney is that at FinCon, this big financial conference that we go to, they have this thing called the Plutus Awards. We took home Best Podcast. I apparently owe somebody $20 for that. But Whitney won Best New Podcast. And if you've never listened to the Money Nerds podcast, what a fun show that is. So Whitney joins the roundtable tomorrow on the Stacking Benjamin show. And they're going to talk about the best thing to do with $1,000. So if you have $1,000 and you're thinking about what do I do with it, tomorrow's the show for you. And we also have Rory Holland on tomorrow. I didn't have a graphic for this, but Rory Holland works for this company called Customer. And the cool thing to do, by the way, in fintech is to take out all the vowels. So it's spelled CSTMR.com. And what Rory is an insider in fintech, and he works kind of in the background with these fintech companies, and he's got a real beat on what's going on in financial technology, like where are the big banks losing and where are these little companies really finding inroads, and where's the future headed? Like, are the big banks going to still win by buying up these companies? He's got a front row seat for all that. So if you're interested in where's the future of all these cool apps that we talk about a lot on the show, he's going to be discussing that with us. Also, and not least in importance, we've got a webinar coming up at 1 o'clock my time, 2 p.m. Eastern. What's that? 11 o'clock Pacific. How to legally cheat on your taxes. And we've had people save up to $3,500, I think is our biggest savings, by understanding how the tax code works. And we're going to go over some of the basics at a free webinar. So if you've ever thought about our course, I know if you're here, you probably heard about our course, How to Legally Cheat on Your Taxes, but you want more information about what's that all about. You maybe want like a spoonful, like, we went for ice cream last week and you get that little taste thingy. And I don't know if they like this, but I usually try to get 6 or 7 of those and go, no, I'm good. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that. I've always thought of doing that, but I don't do that. If you're interested in that course, but you're not sure what it entails, join us then. And here's how you do that. It's stackingbenjamins.com/webinar. All right. With that, by the way, if you've got questions for us, start populating your scholarship questions right now, because she has all the answers. And by she, I mean the woman I'm bringing onto the show right now, this Scholarship Shark herself, Pam Andrews, joins us. Pam, how are you?
I'm fine. Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm better now that you're here. Welcome to our little Basement Purdue show. And I'm so glad you could do this. What made you get interested in scholarships? Is there a personal story here?
There is. So I'll give you the way back story. So, 20 plus years ago, my husband and I got married. We worked with the young people in our community and in our local church. So, I had that history of helping high school students get into college and secure scholarships to pay for it. Have a couple
But
of
did you have a background in that then? I mean,
didn't. No, just, love working with young people, other than my own personal experience and knowing the value of a college education. So I would do tours and we would do over like weekend trips and college fairs and all kinds of stuff. This was before I had kids. So I had like all this time on my hands. And
back in the day, right?
Yeah. Right. And so that's really how I got into it. And so when it came time for my son to, and he's a sophomore in college now, I began to work with a few kids a little bit prior to him graduating in 2016. But when it came time for him, I told him, I said, listen, if you will listen to me, I know you don't like to because you're a teenager, but if you will listen to me and trust me, I can help you get to where you want to go and win money as well. So he actually listened. I'm shocked, right? So it paid
What's up
off.
with that?
Right? So, yeah. And so as a result of the work that I did with him, because they have to participate in the process, he won over $700,000 in scholarships. So
how much money? Because you faded out there for just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. $700,000.
$700,000 in scholarships.
Correct. Now that is a combination. So he is covered all the way through graduate school. And I can explain a little bit later on, but that is a combination of institutional money and then private money. So, so the institutional money is money that you get. He applied to 8 colleges, and everywhere he applied, he not only got in, but he earned merit aid. And that was a total of about $400,000. And then on top of that were the private scholarships. That's like, your bank and credit union and where you eat and what you wear and all that, all those tons of essays. So yeah, and that was our story, our journey. And it's really nice to have choices. It's one thing when you have options, when you've been accepted to many places, but it's another thing to say, okay, this is where I choose to go because money is not an issue. So that's what I love to do for families, just provide them with options, choices. Yeah.
I love that. I love what you just said about going where you want to go because money's not an issue. Because for so many families, I think they think a little wrongfully that, they're handcuffed on their choices. Right. They got to go to the school in their backyard, not to the school maybe that's a good resume builder school because of the fact that they don't have enough cash. And you're saying that simply doesn't have to be true.
Correct. It doesn't have to be. And matter of fact, I kind of do everything kind of counter in our industry. As college admissions coaches, a lot of times people will just focus on money, but I really focus on where are you going? And I ask those questions. Is college the best way to get there? It may or may not be. I have 4 kids. I have one who she really may not go. I mean, it's because of what she desires to do, it may not be the next best step for her. So I think when we really do start with the end in mind and we back up and look at, okay, what's the best for our kids, we have a whole different perspective. I think a lot of times we buy into this, like college is the next step after high school. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we have to pull back and say, where does my child belong? College is great. It's wonderful learning and growing in community. I love it. I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner, but you just have to look at, okay, so where are you going and what does it take to get there? So.
That's cool. I want to, before we get to our questions, which are, as you can see, are already starting to come in, which is really cool. If you've got a question, put them in the comments and Pam's going to answer your scholarship questions today. Before we get to that though, you and I have one other thing in common, Pam, which is that as you can see here in Mom's basement, you see all these board games. Yes. You have a board game.
I do. I'm so excited. Can I show it?
Are you kidding me? Okay. I would prefer this to be the board game podcast. I mean,
there you go. You can do a whole separate podcast on that.
Cool. I probably should. Yeah. Bring it.
Yeah. Yeah. So In Pursuit of College, and it was created the end of last year and we beta tested it and all that wonderful stuff. So it will ship starting in March. And the purpose of the game is to graduate from high school with enough money to pay for at least 1 year's tuition at your dream school. So here's a really cool trick, and nobody really knows this yet because I'm going to like share it here. Okay. So all the dream schools are named after my clients. So for instance, she's a 10th grade client. Her last name is Farrell, and she wants to go into theater. So I had each logo made, and I think hers is like where dreams are made, because she's like acting in theater. So they don't know this. So when they get the copy, they're going to be so surprised to see like, my name is a college. And I have another one, Tyler Technical Institute, because he's majoring in computer engineering in the fall. So that was just a little fun thing as I came up with fictitious colleges. So
I love those inside things that the designer themselves puts in there. One of my favorite games is it's actually it's a German game, so it's called Trumfabric. But it's about finding actors and putting them in movies, and you get actors and you populate these. So you might have Alfred Hitchcock directing Bambi, which would have been a totally different movie, right?
Right.
But the funny thing is, the designer, this guy Rainier Knizia, put himself in as one of the possible actors. Like, they're all these real old time actors except him. But if you put him in the movie, your movie sucks. Like, he puts himself in as like the worst actor ever. And I think, but 99% of the people don't realize that that's the guy that actually made the game, and he's poking fun at himself in the game. So I love it. Your students are going to go crazy when they see that.
I think they will. I think it'll be cool. Yeah. kind of Stan Lee-ish, the way Stan Lee shows up in all his movies.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I just watched Black Panther this weekend, and I think that was his best cameo. Have you seen it yet?
I did 3 times.
I think that was already. Oh my God. Yeah, you're not a fan at all. His cameo in Black Panther might be his best one yet. I'll just take the chips over here. I thought that was great. Yeah. All right. Ready to field some questions from our listeners, and then I've got some to fill in the blanks, but they're asking the same questions I was going to ask you. So Tammy says, has a sophomore in high school. When's the best time to start looking for scholarships, Pam?
Great question, Tammy. I love the sophomore year in general. That's when I love working with students for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think the freshman year, they're transitioning between middle school and high school. So they're getting their feet wet. And that's a great time just to focus on the academic piece, time management, how to navigate this new experience. And so sophomore year is the best time, because you now have 2 full summers where you can really build your experience, and then you can look ahead for a strategy. So it's never too early to look. You can look in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade is a great time to start planning and looking. But what I like to do, 2 things. So you're applying for scholarships starting in the sophomore year, but you're also preparing for the big money scholarships that only really come out in your senior year. So there are some scholarships that you just cannot apply to until you're, a graduating senior, college bound. And so, but what you do prior to that will determine what your resume and your student profile looks like. So the best time to start looking for scholarships, you can start in the 9th or the 10th grade, but don't neglect preparation. What are you doing in terms of leadership, in terms of service, in terms of showing the schools that you're interested in them? It's kind of like I tell kids, their students, it's like dating. When back in the day, pre-text and all that stuff, we used to write notes like, dear Stanley, I like you. Do you like me? And then you give it to your friend and they slip it to them at lunch, and you get either the little checkbox, yes, and some hearts or whatever.
Well, and your heart's pounding the entire time.
Yes, it is. And you're hoping the note doesn't drop and somebody, like your teacher, doesn't find it.
Horrifying.
Yeah. But it's the same way with college admissions. You need to let them know you're interested. And so one way, of course, with the visits, you want to get on their mailing list. You kind of want to start courting that school. And so all the preparation is critical. It's so vital, and staying on top of it. The hard part is, though, because it's like so far away, or it seems like it's really far away, it seems tiny. And so people don't really think about it until the senior year. So I would say you can start looking, but also start preparing academically, test, activities, leadership, service early on, at least sophomore year at the very latest.
On that note, when you talk about preparation and dating the school, when's the right time to make a college visit?
So I love that question. That's a great one. You can always make visits. So here's So you can visit with the sole purpose of, I may be interested in attending this school. So you can start that in your ninth or maybe 10th grade year. I wouldn't wait, beyond the junior year, because you want to start really building your list. But here's what I like to do. So I have all ages. I have 4 kids. My oldest is in college. He'll be 21 this year. My youngest, I've got 2 teenagers. I have a 7-year-old. So with the youngest, she just kind of gets caught up in whatever we're doing. But we go to games. We attend athletic events. We do theater, So we're always on a college campus. When we go to a town, if there's an art museum, we'll go to that college campus. So you're creating a college ready mindset. And I think
Gotcha.
that's so critical. So don't just think, okay, the only time we're going to show up is because we're applying and, we're trying to do a tour. If you're going on vacation and there's a college in that town, because sometimes students don't know where they want to go, but you can kind of say, oh, I know I don't want to do a large school in the city. I want more of an enclosed campus feel, or, you can kind of get a feel for what you like or don't like. But in terms of the actual visits, I would say like sophomore, junior year at the very latest. And another great thing are college fairs. So if you hear a college fair in your area, it's a great way to hit a lot of schools. You can hit all the tables, as many as you like, gather their material, get on their mailing list, and start to go through their brochures, do their virtual tour. So, and just in case you're not able to travel everywhere to visit some schools.
Right. Yeah. No, great stuff. I've got a couple questions here about these are people. These are for scholarships for adults, not for kids. Mm-hmm. Kevin asks, is there such a thing as online scholarships? Live in California and wanting to get a master's online from a private nonprofit school based in Virginia. So do these online degree programs, are there scholarships available for them, Pam?
There are. So the qualifier, you just want to make sure it's an accredited program. So because when they're awarding the money to that institution, they want to make sure it's one that will be standing in some years. So it's not whether it's online or actual live. And there are scholarships for adult learners. So I would say for an older, for the adult learner, start at your college's financial aid office and talk with them. You'd be surprised at the number of people who do not visit the financial aid office other than like completing loan paperwork. But, if you don't ask for money, they're not going to chase you down. They've got a lot of other things on their plate. So that's a great place to start in terms of, what scholarships are available. And then if you're working, see your employer. If you're an older adult, going back to school, check with your employer and see if there's a tuition reimbursement or just something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually talked to, our kids just got jobs out of college, and we talked about asking, because both of them want to go on for higher education. Mm-hmm. And that was one of their criteria for going to work for a company. Yeah. Do you offer like masters or ongoing education? Will you pay for part of that? In both cases, the answer was heck yeah. Yeah. Which ended up being really good. But you're right. It's so funny how often people don't even ask the question. Right. That's the sad part.
Exactly. I find that happens with students too. So, as we're working through it, I'll say, have you visited your guidance counselor? And they're like, oh no, I didn't know to do that. Yeah, visit your high school guidance counselor. Ask, is there a file cabinet? Is there a bulletin board? Is it online? Where do you get the scholarships? Because here's a secret. I'll tell you this for your listeners. So a lot of the local scholarships. So let's say I own a jewelry store, Andrew's Jewelers, and I want to award $500 to someone in the community for whatever. They write an essay. Well, I'm not going to put it on a website or put an ad in the paper. So I'm going to go to the local high schools. I'm going to print a little flyer, maybe send an email and say, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Guidance Counselor. I have this scholarship. Can you get the word out? Just that simple. So your high school guidance counselor really is a great place, especially for local scholarships. And a lot of students do not make that visit at all. So I always say start there, like start with the obvious. So that's a great place to start.
I have heard from other people that that those types of scholarships are easier to get when you're a freshman, maybe a sophomore in college. But a lot of people give up if they don't get many scholarships freshman, sophomore year. I've heard companies, though, Pam, are more likely to give scholarships to college juniors and seniors, because so where one community scholarships kind of go down, that the other one comes up. Is that true? Is that companies, come on board more when a lot of people are giving up looking for scholarships?
So it depends. So I find that there are a lot of STEM scholarships that are offered by companies that start, their senior year, that you apply for them your senior year in your 4 years. And as long as you maintain, whatever the GPA requirement and the number of credit hours, you don't drop below full-time status, that'll cover it, because they're trying to feed that pipeline, and they may have like networking and internships and things like that. So there are community service scholarships and leadership scholarships. And again, the campus is a great place because it's not uncommon for scholarships to be named after alumni or, just different people who either attended that school or made huge donations. And so it's not unusual to have like leadership awards and service awards in college, but you can get both as a high school senior. And then there are those also once you're in college as well.
Once you're at the program. My next question, it comes to us from Jacob. Jacob says, any suggestions, recommendations for certified financial planner education specific scholarships or places? Look, we could even broaden that a little bit. I mean, you may be able to answer that, Pam, but people are already interested in these very specific programs. How do you start that search if I know that I want to go into banking or into finance or into, baking cakes, whatever it might be?
Right. So for specific ones, industries are great. So for instance, if if there's a national organization, I know that nursing is huge, that the nursing, and there are different types of nursing organizations that will provide scholarships. So I would say start with your trade. Look for industry specific, look at your trade organizations to find, and either call them or go to their website to see, do you offer any specific scholarships? But don't rule out some of the larger ones as well. Even if you're going into a certain field or industry, apply for, the general ones, and then take a look for some of those industry specific ones.
What are some of when you talked about preparation, just like the very basic first step that people should do when they're getting ready to go on that scholarship hunt? What's that baseline thing people need to do to get organized and ready to start the hunt?
Sure, absolutely. So are we talking more like high school students?
Yeah. Let's go back to the high school student and maybe mom or dad helping them get ready to make the search happen.
Yeah, I would say one thing on a practical side, just get very organized. It does take a lot of work. It takes a commitment to really press through, to apply a lot over and over. So organization is key in terms of building a list of scholarships and just really developing the mindset. You'd be surprised, but mindset is so critical. Because you have to have a lot of stamina. I tell people this all the time. My son applied for 147 scholarships, and of those, he won 6. Were you going to ask that?
I was just going to ask that. Like when you say fortitude, and it sounds like you're building up to this as a numbers game. I was just about to ask, how high is that number? Because I think when I was a senior in high school, I applied for like 8.
Yeah, me too. I maybe 5, maybe.
Right, yeah.
And I just happened to find out. Yeah, from my guidance counselor, like, okay. So, yeah.
But give me that number again. How many did your son apply for?
147.
Yeah.
And 166. Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's not a lot. Yeah. So that's a lot of rejection. So you really have to, I tell them you just got to hunker down and just got to plow through it and learn from it and, and make the next one better. And I will say this, if you can apply again, because sometimes they'll say for high school seniors and, college students like college freshmen, sophomore, you can apply again and keep that on your list and then just wrap back around and apply again. And another little hack, I'll tell you my other little hack. I always look at past winners. See, I'm giving you a lot of good juicy tips here, right? So yeah. So look at past winners. There's so many clues that we get from past winners that I think students don't take advantage of.
Like what? What do you mean?
Yeah. So this is a little hack I teach all my students. So you go back to the website. Websites always list the past winner for the most part. They'll list, this person won. So sometimes they will print their essay and you can kind of see. Oh
my goodness.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like golden. It's like, it's sort of like if you had a test and you had the answers and it's like, these are the answers and you're giving them to me. Okay. I think I'll study for the test. So take a look and see what they're looking for. And I'm going to give you a really good example. There was one, my son is majoring in art and illustration, and he applied for, so kind of toolbox. He had, I make all my kids do a little bit of everything, even though they focus on what they love. So I make them do speech and debate because I think it's just good to be able to understand both sides of an issue, and
Sure.
And so, but none of them like it. Well, my third one sort of likes it, but yeah, but they have to do it. I'm the mom. You're going to do it anyway, right? And so, but one of the scholarships he applied for, we knew, because I said, let's research last year's winner. And it was very much civic related. And I said, oh, this is great. You're going to talk about how you helped, you were part of the governor's campaign and some of that activity, you did. And you're going to talk about what you do with this organization and, and just all of that. And I said, that's what you're going to write your essay on. We're not going to talk about how you lead in terms of art and your mentoring. It doesn't matter. And so by going back and looking at the past winner, and that was like a $10,000 scholarship. It was great. We were able to kind of pick apart and get clues like, oh, this is what they're looking for. So that's something I think, it takes a lot of work. My undergraduate degree is in engineering. So I like to build things and tear things apart. So I can kind of really pick apart like a winner. And what works and what doesn't work. But that's one trick that I teach my students, and it works. It works.
That is very cool. Very cool. And if it's right out there for anybody, I mean, it's not like you're doing anything different.
No.
Madison, I was about to transition, but I really like Madison's question here that just popped up. She said, I'm really busy. I'm a junior in college. Are there some tricks to speed up you know more than anybody, Pam, what a pain in the ass the process Madison's talking about, right?
Right. So Madison, you're a junior. Okay. So there's no way to speed it up. You just have to, I would treat it like a club. And so if you're able to find, because there's power in community and there really is power in group, and it's why businesses do masterminds and coaching, group coaching, whole synergy. My son's school started a scholarship club, and they Skype me in, and I'll, kind of give them some feedback and tidbits. But it's an actual club on their campus where they meet they rotate the days, but once a week, where they go through and search, and then they actually apply. And then they'll bounce some things off of me. I'll give feedback, things like that. But if you can, so I think one way to speed it up is if you can work together, maybe find 2 or 3 other students who would be willing to meet to just say, this is what we're doing on Tuesday at 8:00 from 8 to 9:30. We're treating it like a club, and this is what we're going to just continue to do. Because you have to really just develop that mindset that we're just going to stay with it until we get to the end goal, or, we graduate. So
I love that for accountability, having an accountability team, especially since you're talking about how some of these numbers can be really daunting, the amount of scholarships you have to apply for. I'm going to give your vocal cords a rest for a second.
Oh, sure.
Let everybody know we're talking to, if you just joined us, we're talking to Pam Andrews from the Scholarship Shark. If everybody's wondering who's this brilliant woman, just going on and on about this cool scholarship tips. Her site is thescholarshipshark.com. They have a brand new board game. The biggest thing I'm interested in here, forget about all this free money, Pam. You've got a board game. That's the key thing for me. Yeah. Let me tell people a few things about what's coming up on the Stacking Benjamin show, and then we'll get back to it. If you've got questions for Pam, though, while I'm talking, let's keep them coming, because I've actually got a few myself for Pam, but we'd love to take, while we've got her here, for about another 15 minutes, bring him on. Our friend Shannon is over on Twitter live tweeting as we talk. It's hashtag SB Live if you want to talk to Shannon, and it's at S Benjamin's Cast. So if you don't have time for a question here, but you've got a question for Pam, Shannon can pass those questions on as well if you just use hashtag SB Live. Also, coming up on the Stacking Benjamin show on Friday, Whitney Hansen from the award-winning Money Nerds podcast is joining us. Whitney is crazy fun. She is wicked smart, and I love having her coming on the show tomorrow. She joins our roundtable to talk about the best uses of $1,000. We also have Rory Holland from Customer talking about where's this whole fintech thing headed. You got those cool new apps on your phone. Where's all that going in the future? And Rory's got a front row seat for all of that. maybe more importantly, if you're hanging out on Facebook and you've got time, about an hour and a half from now, we have a free webinar about how to legally cheat on your taxes. You may know that we've got a course on that topic, which is really about how the tax code work. But Pam, we thought that how to legally cheat on your taxes sounded way sexier. Yeah. So because you think you're cheating because you know all this stuff that's right out in front of people that nobody else seems to be doing, almost like scholarships, right? There's Correct. All these cool scholarship things right in front of your face that people aren't doing. We're talking about that with taxes. Here's how you get on that. It is going to be stackingbenjamins.com/webinar, and it's kind of our course light. So if you're thinking about the course, but you don't know if it's for you or not, you just want to kind of see what we cover. We're going to cover kind of all the big areas to think about. And whether you take the course with us or you go, okay, I got it, and you go off on your own and cover those areas, well, then we did our job, didn't we? So that's the cool stuff. But let's get back to Pam and all the good stuff here. And while we took a break, we got a couple more questions for you. Before we get to those, Pam, actually, I've got one. We had, I don't know if you know Natalie, the financially savvy Latina, but she was on our show recently and she was talking about when she got scholarships. And I want to ask you as an engineer, which explains a lot to me, by the way.
Explains my brain.
Explains a ton. Yes, ma'am. She said that she, in her experience, she went through and got a lot of rejection, like you talked about with your son. When she won her first scholarship, she then put scholarship winning and put in her letter that she'd won a scholarship. And she said the gates opened a lot more after she won her first one. Is that just her experience, or is that a good trick that people can emulate?
Absolutely. That's a great trick that people can emulate. So for a student, when you're building or creating your resume, and I call it a resume, some may call it like a profile, you want to put your awards and honors. So you don't want to just list your educational experiences and things like that in your service, but talk about the scholarship, because, you know, everybody loves like a winner. They're saying, okay, wow, you've already won once. So chances are you're pretty good person here. So, you know, so it can, I believe it can bump up your odds. And that is another trick that we use. And I definitely use it with my students. We list those past scholarships, past awards, past accolades. So, but it still's a little disheartening that I got to go through all this fire just to get that first one. You know what I mean? And then once I get that first one, everybody just goes, oh, they did? Like they don't do their own due diligence. Apparently somebody else did it. So now I'm just going to throw more money at you. Right. But, you know, if it works, hey, if it gives you that little edge, that little bit of an advantage, why not? You know?
That's right. I'm with you.
Cheating on your taxes. So.
Amen. Right. Let's get back to our friend's questions. Our friend Karen asks, when should you start looking for scholarships? I heard someone in fourth grade getting scholarships. What do you think about fourth grade?
So I tend to be, I love kids being kids. I just do. My approach is a little different. I know there are some who work with them in middle school. I don't. I really don't. I don't start until 10th grade for all kinds of reasons. And so I will say this, if you want to apply, go for it. If you have a student, a young person, a kid who is interested, don't stop them. Now, when they're younger, what they're typically called are contests or cash awards. So if there's a contest at your bank or your credit union, why not? Go ahead and submit for it. And what you'll have to do is just put the money aside in a bank account for later. And that's a great shot in the arm for them. They're like, oh, I won something. So sometimes they're like savings bonds, things like that. So I would say, you know, if you have a young person who is interested, by all means do it. I wouldn't do it just to do it. It's funny when I tell people how much money my son won, they're like, when did you start? Like in the womb, you know? So no, not at all. So, but I would say more importantly in the high school years, make sure you have something that's worth winning, that you're building a student, not just for the money. The money to me is on top. I mean, we want to create young people who are great leaders. I tell them, listen, I'm not getting any younger. You know, I'm an old lady here and you guys are going to lead. And so I want you to lead well and to lead strong. And I want you to get compensated for that. So you're not burdened with debt, you know, in your young lives. So I think when they have that perspective, then it kind of shifts why we're doing what we're doing. Otherwise, if it's just all about the money, that gets old really fast. So it's important for them to really understand. If you have a fourth grader who loves drawing, and they win an art contest, or they can write a story or a poem or a haiku or whatever, go for it, so. Yeah.
I've got, I need to break in for a second. We got some important news from Shannon, our social media guru, who, as you may or may not know, Pam, knows all the wacky holidays every day. And I think this goes well with the current discussion, because to Karen's point, if my fourth grader won a college scholarship, I would be celebrating today National Margarita Day, which is exactly what it is. Margarita time. I can't believe they have a holiday for who needs a holiday for margaritas? Right. Yeah, I'd say any random Friday could be National Margarita Day, as far as I'm concerned. Gregory says, I'm a father of a small child. Both my wife and I are highly compensated. So when Gregory talks about being the father of a small child, and I'll put that back on the screen in a second, does that mean like vertically challenged child, or does that mean young child? I'm guessing he means young, not vertically challenged, but anyway, bad joke. At what age should we begin to think about competing for scholarships? Given our financial situation, do we have any hope of getting any assistance? That's the big thing. You see some of these people, Pam, looking at scholarships, highly compensated people going, I don't think that there's
right. We don't think we qualify.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. You have need-based and you have merit-based. And there are all kinds of scholarships for all students. And so, some are based on test scores, grade point averages, service, leadership. So, there are some that have absolutely nothing to do with your income. And that's important to know. So so you don't have to think, oh, well, we make X amount of dollars and we're not going to qualify. There are there are scholarships for everyone, there really are. There are all kinds of scholarships. And so you don't have to, I remember, and this is again where mindset comes into play. And at the time, my son was probably in 9th, maybe 10th or 11th grade, but a friend said, you have to be dirt poor to get money. And I said, no, watch your words. You don't have to be. There are all kinds of scholarships for all kinds of students based on different criteria. So I would say a lot of those, if you want to focus on test scores, service, there are tons. There are just as many scholarships for community service and leadership as there are for the high test scores. And so that's a great place you love to serve.
And the best place to start for those, guidance counselor at school.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Those are great. And I'll give you one of my favorite websites. There are a couple of my favorite websites. There's one, believe it or not, at Sallie Mae. And I think it's salliemae.com/scholarships with an S. And then another one I really like is fastweb.com. That's a great place for scholarships. And what you'll do is put all your information in, what grade you're in. And it says like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, your ethnicity, where you live. I mean, all kinds of, just as much information as you can put, were you an Eagle Scout, whatever, just put all that in. And then you'll get a list of the database will search based on who you are, those scholarships. So it does take work, to search. I searched everywhere. I kept my phone and I would look, if I had an orthodontist appointment or my daughter and I'm waiting in the waiting room, I'm searching for scholarships. So I tell people, you got to work as a team, moms and dads, with your kids, because they're not going to be as super committed to doing this. They may work with you, but you have to work as a team. And there's, it's nothing wrong with you jumping in and saying, oh, I found this one or I found that one. So
I'm glad you said that, because one of the most hypocritical things I saw as a financial planner was parents saying, you know what, I didn't get any money for college. I had to work my butt off. So my kid, if they want scholarships, I got to go look for scholarships. And basically not giving the kid, and this was my thought process that I couldn't say out loud that I can now, is because what I want to say, really, you're not going to give your kid any tools to go search for scholarships, any tools around like getting a job or paying for it. You're just going to say, good luck. And it was sad to see a few years later, the same client is in my office talking about what a reprobate their kid is because they haven't done anything. I'm like, it's because you told them they had to go get a job, but you didn't show them how to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough stuff. Tammy wrote us War and Peace here, so this is going to fill the screen. So I'll say goodbye to you for a second, Tam, as we read the question. Tammy, I'm just messing with you. I love this question, though. So for having a sophomore in high school, it sounds like the best plan of attack is to start looking at scholarships she might be interested in now, start to organize them so we don't lose track, then figure out what she should be doing to prepare to apply for those. That might include looking at what past winners look like. She sounds like you, Pam.
She has a strategy. That's the key. Like you can't go in this blind, you can't go in like, oh, absolutely. She hit the nail on the head in terms of the strategy. Good job, Tammy.
Nice job. Tammy, if Mom were here, she would be sending you a gold star right now. She put that on the refrigerator. So I wanted to ask about online, about FastWeb specifically, because FastWeb back in the day, maybe 15 years ago, seemed to be very fast, and there was a lot of good stuff on there. And lately, it seems like on FastWeb, it's a little bit of, it's always a treasure hunt, to your point, but it seems like there's a lot of junk on there. How do I sift through the junk quickly to get to the stuff that suits me?
Right. So what I find that it's like when you do a Google search, you have the ads up top, and then what you're actually looking for is on the bottom. You'll find some of I personally do not like, and I tell my students, I really don't want you like focusing on these and adding these to your scholarship trackers, the ones where there's sweepstakes. So you'll get like a lot of the, what I call the junky sweepstakes. It's kind of random. I said, I want you to do something where you have to do the work. You put a little bit of effort in, you write an essay, you think it through, a strong, persuasive essay, you answer the prompt, where you actually stand a chance, and so I find that those kind are more up top and then in the bottom. Now, what like FastWeb and, they're all just scholarship directories. So you will have to click through to the actual website. So if you're offering a scholarship, you may host it on there just to get the word out more. But they'll have to click through maybe to go to your website to check out the eligibility requirements, to hit submit, if it's, upload something or whatever. So you may have to do a few clicks, but don't be afraid to click through, in order to get the information. So
one thing we haven't talked about here at all that we really need to address is, we talked a lot about merit-based, but let's talk about the whole need-based scholarships. Talk to a second about need-based scholarships. There's something different we have to do in that process?
Yeah. So I love this conversation because a lot of times family think we don't qualify for need-based. So it's relative, because if, what you may need if you attend your state school may be different than what you may need if you attend a private, one of the, a larger private school out of state, because the cost of attendance, and that's tuition, books, room and board, the cost associated with going with that school will be different at the different schools. And this is why, and I love this question, why I tell people don't shy away from a school that may have a really big sticker. Get over the sticker shock and then pick yourself up off the floor, and then let's have a plan. Let's plug away. Because some schools are a little bit more heavily endowed, and they may be more generous on the need-based aid. So you may not qualify. You may have a very low unmet need at one school, but you may have a larger unmet need at another school. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it sounds like this whole process then starts with that form called the FAFSA.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Everybody sings off the same sheet there. Apparently this FAFSA form.
Correct. And and you have to get it in. It opens, you start at the senior year of high school. You don't have to do it before then. And it's open and it looks at what's called prior year tax. So for instance, my daughter's a sophomore. So for those of you with sophomores, watch what you buy this year. Hold off on buying that vacation home or that boat. Honestly, anything that may show up on your CSS profile or your FAFSA, because some schools also require additional paperwork to determine your need. And so you have to think 2 years ahead. This is a part of your overall strategy, and why financial planning is critical. Because if your kid's going to college in 2 years, you have to think through, what am I doing in 2018 that will impact me in 2020? So, because that stuff's going to get reported. So it's thinking, you can't just show up senior year and knock on the door like, okay, we're ready to graduate and go to college. What do we do? Oh, well, there's some things you should have done a couple years ago. So yeah.
Which is sadly what I bet a lot of people that come to your site do. They're like, hey, I'm halfway through my senior year. Should I start yet?
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Let's end on this one. This is a great ethical question from Gregory that I like. He says, if you have a fully funded 529 college savings plan, do you think it's worthwhile or ethical to still apply for scholarships? Or are you saying they can signal the achievement of the student?
Absolutely. So there are so many wonderful reasons why you want to apply. Some scholarships have networking opportunities. When you're a part of a scholar program for some of the, larger scholarships, especially the ones that are backed by corporations, you now represent them. So you have access to people, to workshops. Some of them are flying you in for summer training or training during spring break and possibly internships. So why would you give that up if you have a high achieving student, and maybe whether it's no matter what it's in, whatever that's in, if it's education or engineering or art or whatever, why would you rob your child that opportunity to kind of go that next level? So I think if you've got the 529, use it, but don't not apply for scholarships. You may decide to do a study abroad, or there are expenses. Some of your college expenses are traveling home. Our son is like 18 hours away from school. That's a part of his cost of attendance that we have to consider. So, and books and all this other stuff. So I say apply. And again, I want to just give our students, like our young people, a bigger picture. We need young leaders. We need young people to just rise up and know what it means to stand, even if it means stand alone, to have conviction, to have courage, and to get the money, get your education paid for so that you can do all these wonderful things. Again, because you and I, Joe, we both need young folks to rise up. So
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. No, and it's so exciting to see somebody in their 20s that's really passionate and well-rounded. And as parents, I think it's our responsibility to create that. And it's cool that you make your kids do all that stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm the mom. They don't have a choice.
But I bet half the time they're surprised when they like it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. And also, so many companies, to your point, use these as recruiting tools, use these scholarships as recruiting tools. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're pipelines right into some companies.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah. So Pam, tell us a little bit about we've been talking about the Scholarship Shark really the whole time, about helping people plan to get scholarships, do the scholarship search. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a college admissions coach, but I focus on not just getting in, but getting the money and helping students and families develop a plan to, like I said, not just get in, but get it paid for. And so that's what I do. So it's a lot of the hand holding, managing the deadlines, the essay part, just, working with families and their students to get over the finish line and to finish well and finish strong. So,
but even more importantly, there's a board game.
Exactly. Yes. I love games. You learn like games, you're learning and you're laughing and it's going in. I love games as a way to teach. I can lecture, or I'm like, hey, you drew this choice card and this is what happens as a result, so
yes. Yeah. I just like how it builds the thirst. I mean, I got this game sitting next to me about the 1893 World's Fair. My kids didn't care anything about that. And then we play the game, which really doesn't teach you anything about, but then my kids start asking, what's a World's Fair? Why they pick 1893? Like and then where the game didn't teach them any of that stuff, I see them online starting to look all these things up, and now the brain's moving in a cool direction, where they're finding about
the vocabulary, the thinking. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're finding out where the Ferris wheel was invented. Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thank you. This was a joy. This was so much fun. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Thanks for all the awesome questions, guys. You guys rock as usual. And we'll see everybody very soon. Go stack some Benjamins. Hey, and one more time for everybody who wants to find out how to legally cheat on your taxes, we'll be back in just over an hour. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/webinar right now to sign up for that, because that's going to be on a different platform. That's going to be on Zoom. It'll be a closed room. So come join us there. All right. Later on. See you, Pam. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.